Wow, I mean, Goldie, that's going to be a tough act to follow now as well after Sasun. So before I start, Sasun, I do the same. Whenever I work somewhere, I do star IAN to try and find all the other Armenians. And unfortunately, there's more Ians than there are Armenians. So that usually throws me off. But I did find a Harry Minassian and an Ani Minassian at Westpac, so that was pretty exciting. So let's kick off. Oh, there we go. We're already up there. So when 16-year-old Beatrice Miller and her co-worker Edith Lamb stepped into the head office of the Bank of New South Wales 125 years ago, their arrival caused quite a stir. They were the first women ever employed by the then 86-year-old bank. And there were special rules for women so as to prevent them from distracting their male colleagues or offending customers. For instance, they had to enter from a separate entry and, I know, right? And they also had to start a lot earlier. It wasn't until the First World War that a number of women in banking swelled when they joined as temporary replacements who were then expected to leave when the men came back from the war. And despite their contribution, that was what was expected of them. All women were also subject to what was called as the marriage bar, which was in force until 1966. That wasn't that long ago. And this bar meant that when a woman who worked for the bank got married, she was expected to vacate her role and make space for a man because, you know, he's got to support the family. It was not that long ago either. It was 1974, in fact, when the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was introduced, that if a woman wanted to borrow money, she actually had to have a male co-sign the debt. So just imagine the implications of that if you're a female founder. We're going to hear from Vanu here a bit later on. Imagine you're a female founder, an entrepreneur, and a male has to co-sign the debt. And they were charged higher interest because they were seen as much more riskier. We've come a long way since then, but it's been through very deliberate action that this change has come about. And in some pockets, it still continues to be a male-dominated industry. At NAB, which is where I now work, 50% of our workforce are female, 66% of our non-executive directors are female, and 37% of our executives, of which I am one, as defined two removed from the CEO, are also female. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 tips that have helped me on my career journey in the hope that they will help you with yours. Tip 1. How many people have got a sponsor in this room? Just show of hands. We've got 1, 2. Not good enough, guys. Mentors are good, but sponsors are better. A mentor is someone who has knowledge and will share it with you, but a sponsor is someone who has power and will use it for you. Women in general tend to be over-mentored and under-sponsored. You need a sponsor who will be someone with clout and influence, and they need seniority. A sponsor is someone who is respected and whose opinion carries weight, and it is someone who believes in you even if you don't yet believe in yourself. They will have a favourable bias towards you, and they will seek out opportunities which will provide you with the critical experiences to allow your career to progress. Throughout my career, I've been very fortunate to have sponsorship, both through informal and formal relationships. The most successful, though, have been when, through achieving success in one role and being connected by my sponsor to other influential people, I was able to land a highly visible opportunity, which then allowed me to further build my networks and establish incremental credibility. When I started in banking, I didn't have any banking experience at all. I joined on a Women in Leadership program specifically designed to inject female talent into the organisation. The program got me into the bank, but it was, and you know, it was my ticket to play, but it was my Where am I? It got me the ticket to play, but it was actually my credibility and the outcomes that I delivered that funded my future career progression. My sponsor pushed me to apply for a role leading a payments fintech within the bank. I thought I wasn't ready. I would never have thought that I would be ready to lead a fintech within such a large organisation. And because I didn't meet all the criteria, I was scared that I would fail. I took the plunge with an open, if not terrified mind, and I've never looked back. And actually, that leads me to my second tip, which is through purposeful discomfort comes growth. No one starts their career as a head of, general manager, president, partner, or CEO. There are moments, some career defining, where a leap is made. For me, I distinctly recall that moment for me. It was 2003 after Arthur Andersen collapsed. I was on the HIH audit. There was a royal commission into the... Who's laughing? There was a royal commission into the collapse of that business, and I quit my career in professional services to pursue a career in strategy in the wonderful world of wine. Within 6 months, my people leader, the group planning manager, left, and it was right before the strategic planning process. In a wine business, which is very capital intensive, particularly an end-to-end business where you plant grapes and it's 20 years before the wine comes to fruition. I'm sure we're going to taste some lovely Armenian wine later on. It's important to have a really robust strategy plan. So there was no one left to lead it, and there was no time to recruit. So I thrust myself forward as the best, read the only, candidate to lead the group plan. I was scared, uncomfortable, and having never done one before, I figured I had nothing to lose. With a lot of hard work, long hours, and a lot of good luck, let's not underestimate the role luck plays in our careers, the 2004 Southcourt Wine strategy plan was a resounding success, and so too was the boost to my confidence. I was out of my depth, vulnerable, feeling like a fraud, but it was through that process that I grew, and I always look back on that experience. By the way, there have been many times and other examples where I sought to replicate that same courage and tenacity and failed. But the point here is, in the wise words of R&B artist Aaliyah, I think some of you will remember her before she died in the plane crash. It's if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. You see, as well as having the courage to be uncomfortable, you also need luck on your side. And I really like Susan Wojcicki, who's the former CEO of YouTube, what she has to say about that. She says, life doesn't always present you with the perfect opportunity at the perfect time. Opportunities come when you least expect them or when you're not ready for them. Rarely are opportunities presented to you in a little cute box with a yellow bow around them. So train yourself to spot the chance hiding in plain sight. Explore improbable options rather than screening them out as unrealistic from the start, like I almost did. Luck isn't always random. You have to get good at spotting it for yourself. By being aware of your circumstances and surroundings, you can create your own luck. Maximize serendipity, push boundaries, think bigger, and lean into the discomfort, which will help you grow and, of course, give you the opportunity to fail from which you will learn. Who knows who this is? Anyone? It's Voltaire. Yes, Leon, it's Voltaire. So Voltaire is a French philosopher from the Age of Enlightenment. I really like him, not because of his dashing good looks, but rather because in an era where women were typically seen as weak, fragile, and pale because they never were allowed outside, Voltaire wrote about women in exactly the opposite way. What he said was that women were strong, resilient, and as brave as any man. He's a good guy, Voltaire. So in the context of your career journey, Perfectionistic tendencies and rule-following behaviour act as an invisible barrier holding you back from your progression. Increment your progression towards your ideal target state rather than investing too much time in getting it 100% of the time. 80% is good enough, beyond which the law of diminishing returns starts to apply. Even if you're not quite ready, take the leap into discomfort and you'll figure out the way. Everyone's heard of that aphorism, fake it till you make it. I think that really applies in this context. Do this with your career. There's a commonly cited Hewlett-Packard study on internal hiring practices that found that men apply for a job when they meet 60% of the qualifications, but women only apply if they meet 100% of them. This finding implies that women subconsciously believe that if they don't meet all the job criteria, they're not suitable for the position and they won't be considered. Because of this, they just don't throw their hat in the ring. This statistic is a massive wake-up call that that's not how the rules of the game are played. Women are socialised to be perfect, especially Armenian women. We're expected to do everything, keep a tidy house, have dinner on the table, go to work and make sure that there's nothing in the laundry basket. Susan, your wife really needed to be here today. In other words, so Reshma Sujani, you guys would have heard this quote because a lot of you are in tech, but she's the founder and CEO of Girls Who Code. And she says that girls are taught to play it safe, to follow the rules, smile, look pretty, get straight A's. But boys, on the other hand, they're taught to play it rough and swing high. In other words, we're raising our girls to be perfect and we're raising our boys to be brave. So this is particularly important for me because my husband and I have 3 daughters. We don't want them to be perfect and we want them to obviously have their own identities. Even when women are ambitious, the socialisation of perfection often leads to risk aversion. So channel your inner Voltaire. Don't let perfect be the enemy of a good opportunity that might present itself for you. That brings me to my 4th point. Become obsessed with who you want to be and work relentlessly at it with a growth mindset. We had some chess examples before when Seda showed the highlight of the inaugural FemInno event, but I'm going to talk about a Hungarian. I should have maybe done some more research and find an Armenian example. But Laszlo Polgar was a Hungarian man who firmly believed in hard work, so much so that he completely rejected the idea of innate talent. He claimed that with deliberate practice and development of good habits, a child could become a genius in any field. His mantra was, a genius is not born, but is educated and trained. He believed this so much that he and his wife Clara set out to test this on their own children, and they identified chess as a suitable subject. They laid out this plan for his children to become chess prodigies. The children started playing chess before they started school. From the age 4, they played chess every day. There was chess, pictures of chess players on the walls. They were rewarded for playing chess. They played against each other and they entered into the best tournaments. His first daughter, Susan, started playing chess at 4. Within 6 months, she was defeating adults. The middle child, Sophia, did even better. By 14, she was a world champion, and a few years later, she became a grandmaster. Judith, his youngest, could beat her father by age 5, and at 15, she became the youngest grandmaster of all time. Okay, so I'm not that obsessed with my career, but while nowhere near as extreme as the environment and habits of the Polgar sisters, when I've been switching between different career choices, what has served me very well has been to become obsessively immersed into my target industry and to surround myself with people with the experience that I set out to gain. Identify who you want to be, being true to your authentic self. Then visualize how you want to be seen. Dress that way. Behave that way. The watch out is, of course, when you start hanging around the people whose experience you want to emulate, that it can result in a bit of narrow thinking and groupthink. And that leads me to my fifth and final tip today, which builds on Sasun, your earlier point as well about diversity. Diversity matters. Not just gender diversity, that's obvious, but working alongside the richest possible combination of age, gender, cultural, sexual, socio-economic backgrounds produces better results. It's a fact. There's a very strong correlation between those companies that have got diverse boards and those that don't. Diversity allows us to challenge each other's perspectives, make more informed decisions, and gives us empathy in serving the broader client and community base. By expanding your networks, opening yourself, truly seeking to understand the perspectives of those who prima facie look and think differently to us, you will experience growth in ways that you did not think possible. This has helped me in my career. Often you have a blind spot. You don't even know what your blind spot is. You don't know what you don't know. And so by making a conscious effort to engage broadly, whether it's in the boardroom, whether it's in a workshop, whether it's in a stakeholder engagement process, by doing that, it has helped me make much more considered, measured decisions, both at work but also in my personal life. We all need to be mindful of the very same human character flaw, which for a long time has held women back. We like people who are like us. It's why when we start a job at an organisation, we type in IAN to find the other Armenians. By the way, that's okay. You keep doing that. But that's what's held women back historically, because it's deeply programmed. It's in our prehistoric Darwinian DNA. In conclusion, much in the same way, delivering a major transformation is often fraught with iterative test and learn cycles where feedback from the prior results inform the approach for subsequent releases. So too are our careers. You have to try, test, learn, and work out whether you like the results or if you want to take a different path. So find a sponsor. Have a mentor too, but make sure you have a sponsor. Get uncomfortable. Don't be perfect. Be obsessive and seek out diverse perspectives. Thanks.